Hola, buenos dias. So I've had a few requests lately to do some more instruction on the preterite versus the imperfect, and I figured since my students are currently learning that right now, I thought I'd make another video for it. So this one has a lot of detail in it. In the description of this video, there's a link that will take you to a document, and on that document has pretty much everything that I'll be talking about in this video. So ideally, you would follow along with what I'm saying on the document rather than just watching me. So I'd go open the document now and then just kind of read along with it as I'm talking, and then you really don't even need to look at my screen just as long as you can hear it. So before I even get going on it, if you want to, at the end of this video, watch another one of my videos on this very topic, I have 3 other ones. So this is the 4th one. There are links to those other 3 in that document there at the top. So if you want to check those out later, you can. So first thing we need to talk about is when do you use the preterite and when do you use the imperfect? Well, there are definitely different times when you're going to use each one, and this is probably one of the more difficult concepts for an English speaker to get down, just because it doesn't come naturally to them. It comes naturally to you in English, but not in Spanish. So you got to really work with it, know the rules, and kind of have a good thought process to get this right. So when to use the preterite? So I'm looking at this handout that's in the description there of my video. You're going to use the preterite to talk about actions that were completed in the past. You're going to use it to talk about things that started and ended at a definite time. If there's like a contained period of time, you're probably going to be using the preterite. And I say probably because there are gray areas with the preterite versus the imperfect. You know, and sometimes it could kind of be both. And I think there's at least one example you'll see that in one of my activities today. Uses for the imperfect: we have ongoing things in the past. Habitual actions. If you're not sure, habitual means things that you did over and over and over again, or somebody did over and over again. Feelings, age, weather, thinking of the past, like walking, talking, seeing. That's going to be the imperfect. Descriptions of people, like short, fat, blonde, stuff like that. There's no beginning or end necessarily mentioned. And then I also put on there in the description the word mientras. Mientras means while. And if you have the word while and you're talking about something in the past and there's a verb after it, put it in the imperfect, because while implies something was happening at that time. So mientras, put it into the imperfect with the verb after it. If you've forgotten to or just need help or review on conjugating any verbs in the preterite and the imperfect, I've got a whole bunch of links for you on that document. Use them as you feel necessary. So there are 2 activities. Here comes the first one. The first one, I've got 5 sentences. In each of the 5 sentences, there are 2 verbs that need to be conjugated. They could both be in the preterite. They could both be in the imperfect. They could be one of each. I don't know. You have to kind of figure it out. So what I want you to do is look at the sentence. I'd preferably pause the video and see if you could do this activity, and then play it again. And I'm going to start giving you my answers in just a couple seconds, and I'll explain my answers as well. So do that, and then here come the answers. So number 1, ayer. So it says yesterday years ago. So you're saying yesterday I went to the market and I bought some red beans. So those are kind of completed actions. It's contained within the yesterday. So I'm going to pick preterite actually for both of these ones and say yo fui al mercado y yo compré unas habichuelas coloradas. If you put it into the imperfect, it would sound kind of like yesterday I was going to the store and I was buying some red beans. And that's it. It just seems incomplete. So if you put it in the preterite, it just sounds better. Let's go to el otro día mi amigo caminó al parque y trepó un árbol. So this is a lot like the first one. The other day, my friend walked to the park and he climbed a tree. It's just kind of saying this happened the other day. Number 3, cuando mis padres tenían 25 años, ellos se casaron. So there's the age. Age is just always going to be on the imperfect. Think that age is kind of like an ongoing theme, like time as well. So tenían imperfect. They got married. I wouldn't say when they were 25 they were getting married. I'd say they got married. So I'm going to pick the preterite and say se casaron. 4. Anoche hacía tanto frío que yo me puse mi abrigo más grande. So last night it was so cold that I put on my biggest coat. So weather is an ongoing thing, so pick imperfect, and then I put it on. I just did it. It wasn't I was putting it on, I just put it on. So preterite, me puse. 5. The day before yesterday, mientras mis abuelos preparaban la cena, yo terminé mi tarea. So there's that word mientras, while, implies something ongoing. So while my grandparents were preparing dinner, I finished the homework. Imperfect and then the preterite. Preparaban, terminé. And the answers are on that sheet if you want to see how they're spelled. Let's go down to the second activity, which happens to be on the second page there. And what you're going to do here, this is a paragraph, and it's a true story, I guess, that happened with me, and I thought it's original, so I didn't copy it from somewhere else, I guess. What you're going to do is look at the paragraph and kind of decide, again, should this verb be in the preterite or the imperfect? And yes, there are some of both. So pause the video if you want to take a second to try and do this, and then play it again, because here come the answers. Cuando mis hermanos y yo éramos jóvenes, nosotros siempre jugábamos fuera de la casa. Buscábamos serpientes e insectos debajo de unas rocas grandes, jugábamos a la pelota con nuestro vecino, andábamos en bicicleta y hacíamos aventuras increíbles. So that whole first paragraph is just kind of painting a picture for you of what things were like in the past, things that my brothers and I, things that we did, like habitually, things that were ongoing. So when we were young, us being young is an ongoing thing. We played outside. We did it a lot. It's habitual. We looked for snakes and bugs under rocks. It's habitual. We played ball. Habitual. We rode our bikes. Again, it's habitual. We went on incredible adventures. So these are all things that were done over and over again. So these are habitual. If it was really contained, like we just said yesterday, we looked for snakes. That'd be preterite. Or last night we played ball. That'd be preterite too. But since this is habitual things in the past, I'm going to pick imperfect. Okay, let's go to the second paragraph here. Un día, nosotros fuimos a un lago pequeño al lado de mi casa. So one day, we went to a lake. So we just did it. It's not, if I said one day we were going to a lake next to my house, it kind of sounds okay to me. I think fuimos is better though. We went there. We did it. This one day we went to this lake. I'm kind of setting up a story for you. So there's one thing here in the preterite. After spending some time next to the lake, nosotros empezamos a regresar. So we began to return. We weren't beginning to return. We just started to return. Typically, empezar, a lot of times you're going to find that to be in the preterite because when you began something, it's not like you were beginning it. You began it. It's just you started doing it. So it's really very specific. Typically, empezar, comenzar, you'll find it to be in the preterite. De repente means all of a sudden. We heard. That's not specific, but we're still talking about nosotros. So all of a sudden we heard. It's not all of a sudden we were hearing. It's all of a sudden we heard. So it's like this, boom, this happened. Preterite. Oímos. That's the preterite. Nuestro vecino. Now this next one with gritar, I think it could kind of be preterite or imperfect. This could fall into that gray area. So we heard our neighbor. We heard that our neighbor was shouting, or that he shouted. So which one sounds better to you? I would say grito, that he shouted, or gritaba, that he was shouting. I think it's kind of a personal preference. I think it could be either way there. Muchas abejas so many bees were attacking him. So do I want to say they were attacking him or they attacked him? I think that I'm kind of painting what's happening right now. So I'm putting the imperfect. Lo atacaban. Todos nosotros, so we all left running without stopping. So again, you leaving, it's not like we were leaving running, we just, boom, we did it, we left. So preterite, salimos. Cuando finalmente, and finally, we returned home. So again, this is just something that happened. It's not we were returning home, we just did it. Regresamos a la casa. We saw that our neighbor, miramos que nuestro vecino, we saw that our neighbor had bees, dead bees in his hair. So him having these bees in his hair was an ongoing thing at that moment in time. So I'm going to put that one in the imperfect, tenían. And he was sad. Feelings are pretty much always going to be in the imperfect because typically you're not like, I'm sad, I'm happy, I'm excited, like boom, 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 boom. It's you're feeling sad is an ongoing thing. So we're going to put estar into the imperfect and say estaba. Vamos a recordar este día para siempre. So I have all of those answers also on the third page of the document in a paragraph form if you want to look at that as well. Hopefully this was helpful to you. Preterite versus imperfect is a difficult concept. It takes some time to get down. Again, watch my other videos if you haven't yet. If you just want some more help with it, some more activities, different sentences, and maybe hopefully you'll get it down soon enough. If you have questions, let me know, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Thanks.